What's going on, Jerome's? So as the Minnesota Vikings have significant cap space, $60 million plus heading into the 2025 offseason, we're finally going to get to see what Kwesi's money balls is all about. And, spending up big for guys like Trey Smith, Tevin Jenkins, Ryan Kelly, etc. Do they bring back Byron Murphy Jr. at, $22 million per year? I don't know, man. DJ Reed, Travarius Ward, etc. The Vikings certainly could and should be players in free agency in 2025. Just like they were in 2024. And again, Kwesi doesn't get enough credit in that the Vikings basically had the greatest free agent class in NFL history. Like, it does, honestly, the team was completely transformed in free agency. And it does sort of buck the trend, right? Because you're supposed to build your team through the draft and then you supplement in free agency. But the Vikings have turned the paradigm on its head. And frankly, the Vikings really got the backbone of their squad, especially on defense, in the middle of that defense, through free agency last year with Jonathan Grenard, Blake Cashman outside. How about that? AVG. Then also adding in of Aaron Jones and then Stephon Gilmore a little bit later on. And frankly, they did some damn good work. And the Vikings were pretty bereft of cap space heading into the 2024 offseason. They were sitting at $37.8 million in cap space. Also, they had $62 million dead due to void year cap hits from Kirk Cousins, Danielle Hunter, as well as Marcus Davenport. Plus, they had to work out long-term extensions for Justin friggin' Jefferson as well as Christian Darrisaw, which Kwesi did. Which, again, Kwesi doesn't get enough credit. I feel like fans, they want to boo him. Boo. But your boos mean nothing to me because I've seen what makes you cheer. And every single credit that he should get. Oh, well, Flores picks all the defense. He does not. Yeah. But then every single failure is like, oh, that's on Kwesi. See, the great free agents and great draft picks are because of Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, but the failures in 2022, that's not Ed Donishell, especially on defense. Oh, that's not Kwesi. It's whatever. But the 2024 Vikings free agent class was really damn good. Right, so and they got career years from a bunch of guys that roughly cost what Danielle Hunter and Kirk Cousins would have cost in terms of average per season. But Jonathan Grenard, Pro Bowl, 12 sacks, should have been second team All-Pro, but Andrew Van Ginkel, Pro Bowl, named a second team All-Pro, career high 11.5 sacks, also 2 pick sixes, which is kind of nice. Blake Cashman outside, how about that? Led the team in tackles with a $112, career high 4.5 sacks. Slinging Sammy Darnold, oh yeah, that guy, 1 year, $10 million, Pro Bowl, 102 quarterback rating, 4,300 passing yards, 35 passing touchdowns. How did he do in the playoffs? Don't know. I don't know. Kind of blacked that out. Aaron Jones, career high rushing yards. And then you got guys like Stephon Gilmore, had the game-sealing interception against the Jets. Tillery had a career year. Hottie Ward had a career high in quarterback hits. Rotating in, Trent Sherfield was awesome as a punt gunner. So you hope to hit on one big-name free agent, but the Vikings had at minimum 5. Grenard, Cashman, Van Ginkel, Darnold, as well as Aaron Jones, all have career years, all have monster seasons with the Vikings. And there are a bunch of lessons to take away from this. Number one, pay up for premium players at premium positions, right? And Grenard, he really was the only one to get a high-end contract, 4 years, $76 million, 38 guaranteed, 19 million average. And that still put him barely in the top 10 in terms of edge rusher salary. But even though the Vikings let Danielle go, he got the bag down in Houston, ipso facto trade with the Texans for Grenard and Cashman, essentially. But Grenard, premium position, premium player, also stepped up in big-time spots as well, because his pressures, his sacks aren't just empty calorie numbers put up in garbage time. Like end of games, when you needed a play, Jonathan Grenard certainly delivered in that spot. And it's something that the Vikings could take to heart in 2025, although right guard isn't necessarily a premium position, but it might be for the Vikings. So paying up for Trey Smith, that could certainly make some sense. Also, take chances on the medical guys. Right, and one of the reasons why Andrew Van Ginkel was very cheap, a 2 year, $20 million, averaging $10 million, only $10 million guaranteed, was because he was coming off that foot injury suffered in the last game as a Dolphin. Of course, him having familiarity with Flores certainly helps as well. But Van Ginkel at the time, he was heading into his age 28 season, so a little bit longer in the tooth and a little bit older, coming off of the foot injury, medical guy, but still certainly took a chance on him, and it certainly definitely paid off for the Vikings. Also, name players still have some game left, and it goes back to the quintessential Moneyball, the whole David Justice thing, where, hey, you have this player that used to be a star in the league. How much does he have left, and can we get that for a reasonable amount of cash? Notably, Stephon Gilmore. All right, so a former Defensive Player of the Year, multi-time Pro Bowler, All-Pro, etc. Now, Gilly, obviously, at age 33, wasn't the same Gilly as in previous years, but for $7 million, I mean, that's a steal versus what he was getting paid in previous iterations with his teams, like in the high teens in terms of millions per season. But you have a name player that still has a little something left in the tank. Aaron Jones as well, 1 year, $7 million deal, and like we said, Jones had a career high in rushing yards and certainly was a spark for the Vikings' moribund running game, and that was really important to bring him in. Also, find players that play niche roles for cheap. And there's a lot of them. And I think this is something that's going to continue with Kwesi going forward, where you had the Shaq Griffin deal where he was a spot starter and pretty damn solid when he was in there. Hottie Ward, like we said, a career high in quarterback hits, rotational pass rusher. Also, just great for the vibes. Yeah. As well as Trent Sherfield coming in as one of the best special teamers in the league. Frankly, he was a bit of a Pro Bowl snub, but both those guys were on cheap deals. Grugier Hill was a great backup linebacker as well as special teams stud as well. So basically, I mean, the Vikings got great value from the Tillery, Hottie Ward, Sherfield, and Grugier Hill contracts as well. Plus Fabian Moreau, the veteran, got some snaps in there at the end as Gilmore was working through that injury. So that definitely served a purpose as well. Lastly, you can transform a position group in one off season. And I know people are going to be like, oh, well, Grenard and Van Ginkel are edge rushers. Don't count them as linebackers. No, it's the second level of the defense. They completely transform the Vikings linebacking crew into one of the best in the National Football League. So Grenard, Cashman, Van Ginkel, joining up with Pace, Patrick Jones second, they throw Metellus in there as well. The Vikings did have the best second level in the National Football League, and they did that in one off season. And all in all, I mean, they spent, $26.5 million roughly for Grenard, Cashman, and Van Ginkel average per season. And the Vikings should take that to heart in looking at the interior offensive line. Hammer down. Whether it's Trey Smith, the apple of everyone's eye at guard, whether it's Jenkins, whether it's Kelly, whether it's Becton, whether it's Zeitler, whether it's Zach Martin. Don't care. The Vikings can turn things around on the inside. This is not a high-end interior offensive line class. The Vikings have the cap. They have the motivation. They certainly can get after things on the interior, and I think that's something that Kwesi certainly could and should take to heart. But overall, obviously the draft is a draft, and I think the Vikings weathering the storm this season, being low on draft picks because of the trade-ups for J.J. McCarthy as well as Diamond Dallas Turner. Eventually, they're going to get to a spot where they're replenishing the rooster through the draft for depth as well as for studs. Kwesi's already proven that he's fantastic at UDFA, so maybe it is F them picks, and we'll just take whatever's left over. I don't know. But free agency is a great spot where you can supplement your roster in an ideal world. But if the Vikings have to have it in 2 off seasons in a row where they're building the roster through free agency just to get them to the point where they can get to the point where they're building through the draft and supplementing through free agency, it's going to be smart. And also that is exactly what Moneyball is about. So hopefully the Vikings can roll with that going forward. But your thoughts are thoughts of Vikings 2024 legendary draft class, what they can learn for 2025 going forward. Let us know your thoughts. Our thoughts, comment section. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.